Hey there, my name is Charlotte Fro and I'm your host for Change by Choice. I'm a certified high performance coach and a leadership and development consultant. You can also find me at Charlotte Fro Change by Choice on Facebook and also charlottefro.com for my website for more information or to download your free gift. All right, to get started, who is feeling reactive in their life right now? Today, what we're going to be talking about is reaction, the gateway to misery. And I'm going to give you some simple tips on how to start to make some movement forward so that you can position yourself in a way where you start to be a little bit more proactive. But more so, instead of just thinking of these words, reactive, proactive, presence, but what does that feel like? Well, I think we all know what reaction feels like. It doesn't feel great. What does, being proactive feel like? And, how can you get yourself there? So this can apply to anybody, right? You could be, the stay-at-home parent who constantly is just at the whim of the day, never feeling like you're taking that step forward. You could be that entrepreneur who is just always in that hamster wheel, never getting ahead, always just being where you're at, not really in that strategic planning process of how to really look at the big picture, but just being stuck in the day-to-day fires. You could be that leader who is constantly reacting with your team because you don't have the bandwidth to be able to implement the right systems to create a people-focused culture. Now, whether or not your values align with wanting to be proactive, this really is about, do you have the desire to operate at a different level than you're operating right now? And if so, are you willing to do the work to make the changes to get yourself out of the space that you're in right now? And so I ask that because, yes, a lot of times people are like, yes, I don't want to be reactive. But when it comes to slowing that process down, making the changes, having to, overcome maybe some of the elements that attack our ego when we're having to shift and change how we're operating, it can be really tough. And a lot of people don't push through. And so I'm hoping you, if you're listening, and this is something that resonates with you, that you're going to be like, no, this is my time. This is the time where something needs to change. Because to continue doing this over and over and over again is completely insane. Not only that, you're not even happy, you're not feeling peaceful, and it's affecting how much money you're making. So stick with me. This is just going to be a little piece of this conversation, but when you look at the overall message and all the content that I put out there, you'll see how all the pieces connect together, right? It's all about how we line up mind, body, soul, along with our experience, our skill set, our strengths. It all comes together. So that's going to be where you're going to be challenged, is to really pause the game that you're in right now and to set a plan and a course of action for yourself. But what we're going to do today is just talk about some simple tips on how to move that needle forward, right? Because time is of the essence, and it's usually the one thing that we don't have, and especially if you're in reaction mode right now, you probably definitely don't have time in your world. But time is generated. And so one thing that you can do is really start your day taking a look at what your day looks like. So step one, organize your day. Set a goal for the week and understand what your priorities are. I have a free tool that you can download to just help you in this process. And so you'll find the link above. You can download it and use that as a little cheat sheet to be able to help you in this process. So that's the first thing. Take a look at your day. Something needs to change in your morning routine for this to be able to start to make a shift for you. So your morning routine, add that planning piece in. And if you're already saying to yourself, well, I already do that. Gosh, Charlotte, I'm already there. Something's still not working then. So what I would suggest is analyze your process as how you're setting yourself up for success. Are you time blocking everything in your day? Are you putting yourself in a position where you're not being realistic with the amount of time that you're giving yourself to achieve the things that you need to achieve? Do you have too many things on your list? So just do a little audit for yourself. Why are you not achieving your goals then with time? And then what is that root problem that if you were to make a switch there, that you would see a difference in your week? And this is where, you guys, everybody's in a different place. So I'm kind of generically talking to all of you right now. But just start to ask yourself more questions. What's not working for me? After each day, as you're going to bed, what didn't work for me today? After each week, what worked for me? What didn't work for me? And then make the changes to your schedule. You need to prepare in order to set yourself up for success. Bottom line. So it's really important. And if you find yourself saying like, well, I don't have time, well then again, back to what I said at the beginning, are you willing to do the work to make the shift to actually see some momentum change in the area in which you're stuck? Because when we are in reaction, we're not being our best self. Some of the symptoms you'll see in people or within yourself: irritability, frustration, denial, avoidance, anger, right? And those are just some. Those are the feelings that we tend to feel shameful about. That when we go to bed at night, we're not feeling great about that. So start to ask yourself, and this is going to be step 2. Ask yourself, just in the last 2 weeks, what pattern of feeling has come up for you when you have felt stressed? And identify it. Write it down. The biggest thing that I can say to you guys is stop running away from the things that don't look good or feel good. That's where your truth is. And starting to have a different relationship with yourself. If that's what it is, and maybe you've lost your temper a few times, maybe you didn't show up as your best self, just own it for yourself. You don't have to share it with anybody else, right? And write it down. And then ask yourself, well, what was going on for me there? Because that's another piece of going from being reactive to proactive. You need to be clear on the data in which you're working with. And the data is how you have been showing up, right? What's been holding you back? So write it down. Write it down right now. So we've talked about scheduling and time planning, auditing yourself and the things or the feelings that have come up when you're feeling reactive. And then starting to write down what are a few solutions to be able to move yourself through that. Is it a time in the day when you're just completely frazzled? Is there a system that's missing? Are you feeling unsupported? And look, sometimes the things that we write down, we're not able to just overnight make that change. You can't all of a sudden, make your boss totally support you or that system totally be implemented with your team. But the point is that awareness is the first step. And then it's how can we put the pieces together so that you can start to implement? And not to be afraid. And this is step 3. Voice what you need in a way that is going to get the result that you want. And what I mean there is, it's not going to be when you're completely losing it, in a reaction, frustrated, feeling like you're not supported, that's when you ask for what you need. All of this, the 3 steps, is about just implementing, being more proactive in your life. So that when you get to the place where you're like, okay, now I understand what it is that I need. I see where I'm falling short. I see where I'm getting really frustrated. Now, is there somebody that you need support from? that you need to have a conversation with. And what's that conversation going to look like? Here's a couple tips. Don't talk from a place of frustration. Talk from a place of yourself in terms of what you need and why it would benefit the greater good of everyone. So when you can extend, the results to being beneficial to not just you, but other people or the organization or the household, then people are more inclined to listen. Talk from a place of vulnerability. If you start off that conversation pointing fingers, saying you did this and you did that, and this job sucks, probably not going to get the right result. And this is what I would say for the entire theme today, is this is all about getting the right results. So you may think that your way is working, but if you're not getting the right result, then it isn't working. You need to go back to ground zero. You need to make that shift and make a tweak. What else do you need to do? What else do you need to shift? Because the only way that you know that it's working is that you're going to bed at night feeling a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more peaceful. These things, they don't change overnight. But holding yourself accountable and responsible and getting back into the driver's seat, that's going to be how you have long-term success. You got to trust in the process. I promise you it works. And if you're just like, you keep trying this stuff and you're like, Charlotte, I've done A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all these different shifts and changes, and they just won't change. Well, then maybe it comes to a time where it's like, are you in the right job? Are you in the right relationship? If you've done all that stuff and you've tried all these ways and you're still going to bed and you're not happy and you're always reactive and you're being honest with yourself, then maybe it's a different conversation that you need to have. But here's the thing. You've started to do all this work. You've started to dig in. You started to ask yourself those really important questions. You're well on your way to deciding and figuring out what your right path is. And sometimes that level of courage, because that's a huge ingredient piece for everything that we're talking about right now. It's the courage to step outside of our norm and to be able to step into the next level of success. The courage to have the conversations that are scary, where someone might say no, or they might laugh at you, or they might, ridicule you, whatever that might be. Everything that we get handed based on our output, it's just more data. Take a look at it. Instead of taking things personally, take a look at the data and just say like, okay, I'm just getting more clear. Is this something that I want in my life right now? Yes or no? We just keep getting fed and handed information to let us know, are we aligned or are we not aligned with the pieces that we have in our life? Right? Doesn't that just make it just a little bit better? To just know that you're just getting handed information. And with that information, you're in the driver's seat and you just get to make a decision. This either works for me or this doesn't work for me. All right? So 3 steps to be able to start to move you out of being reactive into a place of proactiveness. I don't even know if that's a word, but anyways, I'm throwing it out there. And that's just 1 step. Like I mentioned below or above, you'll see the link. You can download the free gift to just help you out in this process and get the ball going. Everyone talks the talk. They love to complain of not having any time and not feeling supported, but are you going to be the person that actually starts to move forward and make a change? Why? Because this is your life. And you may be thinking about work, but how you are at work and how you're feeling at work trickles into your home and vice versa. Our life is all connected. So this is about you being the best that you can be and feeling good about that. And if you're not, keep doing the work. Keep digging in, figure out what is holding you back. As I mentioned before, you've got all my other podcasts that you can go and connect into that will help you in these pieces of really moving that needle forward in your life. You've got my website, you've got my Facebook page, Charlotte Furrow Change by Choice. Come, jump in. And as always, I hope you guys have an amazing week. Just remember that your desired life is just one choice away. And how we change is just by one choice. One choice. One step. Every single day, make one new step. All right? You take care.